Hi, it's Nate Charles, and welcome back to another episode of the Rule of Law Brief. The Commandant of Midshipmen at the U.S. Naval Academy, Captain Gilbert Clark, was just fired after only a few months on the job. The official reason given was a loss of confidence in his ability to lead. And let's be honest, that phrase tells you absolutely nothing. It is the Navy's all purpose euphemism used whenever leadership wants someone gone, but doesn't really want to explain why. People outside the Navy often misunderstand this. They think loss of confidence is a substantive allegation. It isn't, it's a container. It can mean misconduct, misjudgment, personality conflict, political friction, or something entirely bureaucratic. It can mean everything or nothing. In fact, I've lived this myself. Toward the end of my time as a reservist, I was the commanding officer of a Naval Special Warfare Reserve Unit. I received an illegal order from a guy named Zachary Ruthven, one of the SEAL officers I respect the least. Here's a picture of him. If you ever get a chance to work with this guy, don't. I refused to carry out that order because it was unlawful. I resigned my command in protest. Ruthven then told me he did not accept my resignation and instead dismissed me for, quote, loss of confidence. Fine. I walked away from that situation with my integrity intact, and then I went on to serve another 2.5 years, including as the deputy chief of the Navy's COVID crisis action team, drawing directly on my background as a war planner and in biological threat response. The point is simple. Loss of confidence is so flexible a phrase that it borders on meaningless. So Clark's relief doesn't really tell us much about what actually happened. Here's what we do know. Captain Gilbert Clark took over as commandant in June of 2025. That was over the summer, so the midshipmen were on summer cruise. They weren't even there. He was relieved of his command on November 24th by the superintendent. There's been no explanation provided about why he was fired except for the stock terminology. We do know that the deputy commandant, Captain Austin Jackson, has now fleeted up and is serving as the interim commandant. Now, Austin Jackson is another SEAL officer and a contemporary of mine from our days at the Academy. He is a very good officer. We weren't close, but we overlapped. And yes, if he sees this, I did once get drunk at his place as a junior officer over 20 years ago, and I barfed on his floor. Austin, if you're watching, please send me a Venmo request for the cleaning bill. I still feel kind of bad about that. And as I said, he's an excellent leader, a serious, competent SEAL. I have full confidence in him stepping into the role. My concern is the possibility of political interference. Over the last year, we've seen senior military officers removed or reassigned in ways that raise legitimate questions about political motives. The Hatch Act, the firewall meant to protect the military from partisan manipulation, may technically still exist in the statute books, but in practice, Donald Trump has shattered its deterrent effect. When a law is violated with impunity long enough, it stops functioning as the law. It's one of the oldest authoritarian tactics in the book. Don't repeal the guardrails, just ignore them until they collapse under their own weight. So when someone as senior as the Commandant of Midshipmen at the Naval Academy is relieved out of the blue, the question naturally arises. Is this a standard relief, or is this another brick removed from the firewall between honorable military service and political coercion? And here's the honest truth. I hope that this was garden variety misconduct, something routine, something stupid but apolitical, something like he got hammered at the Oak Club and did something wildly inappropriate. That's fixable. That's human. That's not a systemic threat to civil military norms. Because if this was political, it's a far worse situation. That would be yet another erosion of the separation between the military profession and partisan loyalty. We're already watching that wall crumble. We don't need another hammer strike. So, if you're in Annapolis, if you're connected to the brigade, or if you've heard scuttlebutt, that's Navy for rumors, please drop it in the comments or send me a DM. I'd like to know what's actually happened. The commandant role is central to the Academy's leadership culture. The brigade deserves stability, competence, and political independence. And again, Austin Jackson will do well in that role. That part doesn't worry me. But the circumstances around Clark's firing, we still don't know a thing. And the phrase loss of confidence tells us nothing. And it's often designed to do exactly that.